Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all. A warm greetings to each and every one of you. Welcome to the Indonesian-Malaysian Meat Products Processing webinar, jointly organized by Universitas Ciputra Surabaya, Indonesia, and University Science Malaysia. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Shahriza Zainul Abidin from University Science Malaysia. I will be the MC for our webinar session today. On behalf of the organizing committee, we extend our appreciation for your presence today. And we are lucky to have 4 prominent speakers with us today, 2 speakers from Indonesia and 2 speakers from Malaysia to present various topics on meat-related products. Our first speaker is Mr. Dino Rahardian from Universitas Katolik di La Salle, Manado, Indonesia. Our second presenter is Dr. Isham Ismail, who will be presenting from University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Terengganu, Malaysia. The third presenter, we have Dr. Musfirah Zulkarnain from University Science Malaysia. And last but not least, we have Dr. Masdiana Cendrakasih Padaga from Universitas Ciputra, Malaysia. Sorry, yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate the presence of all the participants today, the academic staff, the students from various universities in Indonesia and Malaysia. Today we have a big crowd. In total, we have 216 registered participants, 117 participants from Indonesia, which include academic staff and students from Universitas Ciputra Surabaya, our host university, Universitas Katolik di La Salle Manado, Universitas Katolik Widya Karya, Universitas Pembangunan Nasional, and Universitas Padjadjaran. I also welcome participants from other institutions and agencies in Indonesia. And from Malaysia, we have a total of 99 participants from University Science Malaysia and also University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Terengganu. So once again, welcome to Indonesian-Malaysian meat products processing. Okay, before we proceed, I have some announcement to make. So the first announcement is we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. You are invited to post your question in the chat box, or you can also unmute your microphone to ask questions directly to the speaker. Okay, so the second one, all the participants are required to fill up registration form and also a survey form. So survey form will be distributed at the end of our webinar. But for the registration, you need to fill up before we start the webinar. So this information will be used for the certificate of participation for this webinar. And the last one, kindly mute your microphone to prevent any disturbance during our webinar session. Okay, now, without further ado, I would like to invite the head of the organizing committee, Mr. Oki Krisbianto, to give his welcoming remark. Please, Mr. Oki.
Thank you, Dr. Risa. Okay, good morning and salam for everyone. As the chairman of the committee, I would like to thank all the participants and also the committees who have worked hard to make this webinar possible. I welcome all invited guests from USM, NUC, and all participants from various institutions from the La Salle Catholic University in Manado, University Sultan Zainal Abidin in Terengganu, Universitas Katolik Widya Karya in Malang, Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran in Surabaya, Universitas Padjadjaran in Sumedang, and all parties that I cannot mention one by one here. This Indonesian-Malaysian meat product processing webinar has actually been planned for a long time. The idea was from our lead professor, one of the founders of the food technology program, Universitas Ciputra Surabaya, Professor Hari Purnomo. He has already prepared the material to be delivered for this webinar, but last December, Prof. Hari already conveyed his final message to each of us. However, we are very grateful that his eldest son, Mr. Dino Rahardian, is willing to represent Prof. Hari in delivering his presentation that has been prepared for a long time. This is the umpteenth webinar held in collaboration with the Food Technology of Universitas Ciputra Surabaya and University Sains Malaysia. This time, the Indonesia-Malaysia Cooperation webinar raised the topic of meat processing, which was the expertise of Prof. Hari Purnomo. We will talk about processed meat products in Malaysia and Indonesia to their preservation and safety. I think I won't go into too much detail in my speech. On behalf of the entire committee, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. We hope that the information you'll obtain in this webinar will be of use to you. Thank you to one and all, and thank you, Dr. Risa. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oki, for the welcoming remarks. Okay, now I would like to introduce the moderator of our webinar today. We have Associate Prof. Dr. Tatas Hardo Paninting Jati Bruto Sudarmo from Universitas Ciputra, Surabaya. Okay, let me introduce Dr. Tatas first. Associate Prof. Dr. Tatas is one of the lecturer at Food Technology Program, Universitas Ciputra, Surabaya. Dr. Tatas completed his PhD in Molecular and Cellular Biology, University of Glasgow. In the field, his research expertise includes extraction and separation of natural products, carotenoid, food analysis, chromatography, as well as spectrometry. So throughout his career, he has been awarded with various research awards and scholarship, which include a guest professorship from Shizuoka University, Japan, and also George Foster Research Fellow, Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. Besides, Dr. Tatas has published a lot of high-impact journals. Among his latest publication is on simultaneous purification of fucoxanthin isomers from brown seaweed by open column and HPLC, and also carotenoid composition in buah merah and indigenous red fruit of the Papua Island. So with that, let's welcome Associate Prof. Dr. Tatas to start the webinar session. Over to you, Dr. Tatas.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Risa, and very good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, we have 4 sessions in total, but we will open our first sessions. And our first session, I would like to introduce you our speaker today, Mr. Dino Rahardian. Yeah, Mr. Dino Rahardian is currently the Dean of Faculty of Agriculture at Catholic University de La Salle, Manado, Indonesia. And he graduated Master of Science in Animal Dairy and Poultry Science or Meat Science from the Louisiana State University in the US in 2004, with a focus on the effect of rigorous conditions and various starch concentrations on scanning electron microscope structure and characteristic of Indonesian meatballs. Mr. Dino is very productive in his downstream research. He has owned many, at least 5 intellectual properties, including the copyright of stability oxidative of red rice bran crude extract of Minahasa. Mr. Dino has long experience as a consultant in the industry, especially in the food industry, including frozen business unit and food business development at PT Aero Food Indonesia, which is the subsidiary of PT Garuda Food Indonesia. And today we have Mr. Dino Rahardian with us. He will give us his presentation about Indonesian meat processing and preservation. Mr. Dino, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tatas. First of all, may I share my screen so everyone can see it? Okay, there we go. Is this clear? Can everyone see that?
It's clear.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Right. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Very good morning to everyone, and thank you very much, Dr. Tatas, for the profound introduction. I'm so glad to be here today. And today I will be talking on behalf of my late father. He was the one who's supposed to be here today. He initiated this webinar actually. And I hope I am good enough to fill his shoes because honestly, I have a big shoe to fill. This is so much. My father, Professor Harry, he was a professor in meat technology, as Pak Oki introduced earlier. He was a lecturer of University of Ciputra and previously also University of Brawijaya. Therefore, also a colleague to Dr. Masdiana, who will also be talking here today, and whom I've known personally since my childhood days. Very different to my father's footstep. Personally, I focused on my own expertise to the agricultural side of things. So as you can see in my personal CV, previously presented by Dr. Tatas, I did not have much to do with meat technology, maybe only a little bit during my master's. So ladies and gentlemen, students, today I'll be using my father's slide, and there is a lot of slide here today. He made lots and lots of slides, so I do apologize that I might have to skip some along the way since there's a time limit for the talk today. Okay, one moment. I think I cannot find the timekeeper. So just give me one few minutes. I can't seem to find the timekeeper. Okay, in that case, I will have to ask for Miss Mondi to actually notify me about the time later on because I couldn't find the timekeeper. Right. So okay, let us continue on. If you see here in the slide, my father already started to introduce to us on how vast the archipelago of Indonesia is. The Indonesian archipelago consists of 17,000 plus islands, where 6,000 of them are populated with lots of ethnic groups. Right? Therefore, with all these ethnic groups, with all the culture growing here in the Indonesian islands, there are like 5,000 plus traditional recipes. Now, what I would like is that everybody could remember this number, 5,350, because then we would have to come back to this number later when we conclude the talk on my father's slide today. Right? So we are talking about techniques and methods of cooking. You can find that techniques and methods of cooking in Indonesia is pretty much the same with everywhere else around the world. You have frying, you have grilling, you have roasting, then you have saute, you have boiling. That's pretty much the same. So it wouldn't be so much difference. But here, Prof. Harry has already tried to collect some of the traditional meat preservation and processing techniques in Indonesia. And it dates all the way back to the Mataram Kingdom. So it's a long time ago, right? He has also found the words, the names in Sanskrit, and he tried to translate some of them here. This he found within the Mataram, within the Medan Mataram, or that is the it's like the scrolls, the inscription from the scrolls that was available during the 8th century or the 10th century. So meat consumption in Indonesia dated all the way back then. But as time grew by, and here you can see the consumption of meat in Indonesia. You can tell at the very bottom, sheep is the very least because, well, as you know, we are a tropical country. We are at the heart of the equator. So this is not really much of a place for sheep. Then after that comes pork. This is also due to Indonesia, especially Java and Sumatra, being majoritized by Muslim, so pork won't be very dominant. But you do have pork dominant in other islands that are majority of Christians, like Sulawesi or Kalimantan, maybe. Yeah. So that's where pork comes up a little bit. Then afterwards, above that, you have the veal and veal. Now, this we have lots in Indonesia. But mainly you can see the consumption per capita is overwhelming for poultry. Let's take a little bit more, look a little deeper into this. So this is the poultry consumption per capita in Indonesia, right? From 2006 all the way up to 2019. You can see how the number stabilizes between 2016 to 2019. And there's a forecast that it will bump up slightly again in 2025. So meat consumption in Indonesia, pretty much same with all over the other places in the world. Yeah, all over the world, you would have the whole cuts, and you have the small cuts. Then you have the restructured meats. I must point out here that in Indonesia, whole cuts are not as popular as the small diced cuts and the restructured meat. Maybe this is pretty much the same for everywhere else in Southeast Asia. So I'm thinking about that. I think, okay, so this is just an observation of mine. Why? Because of how Indonesians or how most Southeast Asians would cook their meat. You would rarely find, I'm not saying none, but I'm saying rarely find meats that are actually cooked in rare or medium rare here in Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia. That is why mostly are small cuts or restructured. Yeah. Right. Here we see more of the small cuts or bite-sized cuts of the meats. And as I mentioned before, mainly they are cooked to well done at a slow cooking method. So it would be pot cooking or stew or sauteed cooking. And that is why all the small cuts, the bite-sized cuts, would be more popular than whole cut meals, whole cut meats. Not that there is none. You can find whole cut meats here in Indonesia as well, with a very different terminology compared to the Western side of things. So maybe you won't be finding like sirloin, tenderloin, rumps, or tomahawks. That's very Western. You can find that in the market, but maybe not as popular in the Indonesian traditional cuts of meats. Okay. Right. So Indonesian meat, as I mentioned, more into the small diced cube cuts or the restructured meats, like sausage, burger, and meatloaf. You can find that here also. It's a very continental Western influenced production of meat. But there are also the traditional versions of restructured meat. later we will look into that a bit further. This is one of the preservation methods in Indonesian traditional meat. I think you can also find this in Malaysia. This is the abon, as you can see. Now here, Professor Harry is trying to take us further into how processing and preservation in Indonesian meats would be like. And he began with more of the dried meat, deep fried meats. And this is the, as you see in the pictures here, are the abon or meat floss. And here Professor Harry has also already provided some of the examples of how they mention this with similarity of products with China and Vietnam. And I think during my stay here in Malaysia, I'm currently now in Penang, very nearby with USM. So I'm staying at U Hotel, and right beside me is a department store, a Lotus department store, and I saw this product there. So as I walked around, I saw this product. I mean, it's a very similar product. So most Indonesian meat and Malaysian meat, I think they are very, very similar. These are the major groups of processing and preservation in Indonesia. First are curing, dehydration, drying, smoking. These are most common, especially in the traditional method. Freeze drying and blast freezing are more for the huge industries. Usually they are intermediate products of the industries. So the in-between during the operation process. Yeah. And for the first point here is the point of view of moisture content and water activity manipulations on the meats, or categorized as the intermediate moisture meats. So the second group of processing would be the coarse or finely ground beef, ground meat. This would also include here in Indonesia the fish meat, because restructured meat in Indonesia, I think we find more fish products or seafood products compared to the meat products. Then canning is also available in Indonesia. Canning after lots of curings and rubs with all the spices. Yes, that's also very, very available here in Indonesia, but that's a very modern take of things. Then more in the home phase or home stage of processing, we have the boiled, shredded, deep fried meat, like the abon or the meat floss. Right. The intermediate moisture meats. These are meats that are with water activity that are actually water activity that are ranging from the lows of the 0.6 to 0.84, then with moisture contents at ranging of 15 to 40%, which these meats are very dry. So you can taste them very dry. They are not moist, and you cannot get that moist flavor on them, but you still can eat them directly without even recooking or reprocessing them. But yeah, in the next few slides, I think Professor Harry also showed us that some of these meats are also reprocessed or recooked in the traditional foods. This is some of the references that Professor Harry found regarding these intermediate moisture meats, especially on their antioxidant activities, on their phenolic contents, and other properties. So, regards to dendeng as one of the Indonesian intermediate moisture meats, this is in Sumatra. These are some of the varieties there: balado, balacik, and the lombok. I think they're very, very similar to, I don't know, maybe some Malaysian traditional food. And this is in Java. Java, more of the sweet taste is more exposed compared to the hot, spicy taste of the Sumatran versions. So in Java, you would have a style of traditional dendeng which is more combined with the gula Jawa or gula kelapa. Maybe in Malaysia they would say gula Melaka. Here also, I think Professor Harry also gave us an example. You see in number 3 there, it is already mixed with grated coconut, and this is as a side dish. So the dendeng is recooked, as previously was mentioned that the dendeng is actually edible without any cooking methods, other cooking methods. But here it is recooked into a dish. This is a side dish, usually with other dishes. In Indonesia, fried grated coconut is called serundeng, while in Malaysia, what I found, serundeng is actually the abon. So it was quite interesting because this is my first visit to Penang, and what I saw here is very interesting. Okay, so this is the nutritional fact for dendeng. This is in general how the nutritional fact looks like. And now we jump to another traditional meat product in Indonesia. It's the restructured meat products. And here, Professor Harry gave the example for bakso. Now, bakso is the Indonesian traditional meatball. It is not traditional as in sense it came from Indonesia, but this is influenced by the Chinese. So bakso is actually an influence of Chinese cuisine in the Indonesian traditional culture. It's ground meat. It's made from ground meat, but different with the meatballs of Italy or meatballs of other Western culture. They do not just add flour and then some spice and boil it up, but here, due to the Chinese influence, the meat is actually tenderized, so tender, so fine, it's actually blend, almost to a state of blended, and then it would be scooped up by a spoon and dropped into hot boiling water. Then the ball shape is actually made because of the convection circulation within the boiling water, and that's what actually builds up the round, smooth surfaces of the bakso balls. I think beyond this slide, Professor Harry took some slides from my research. Okay. But before that, this is the nutritional fact of bakso. This is the general nutritional facts. And here, Professor Harry is trying to explain to us how post-rigor timing towards meats in Indonesia is actually not really a thing. Okay, it's not really a thing compared to Western methods of meat preparation. Now, the reason is the same as what I tried to mention earlier there, that in the Western cultures, you would have different grades of cook from well done to medium rare, which of course rigor mortis would affect much of the meat structure when cooked, flavor, structure, aroma, etc. But here in the Indonesian products, since most are well done, so this won't be much of a problem. But still, you would find this. it has an impact. You would find the impact here. Like here, you could see how the actinomyosin structure has had much impact from early post-mortem and late post-mortem. Therefore, the fillers of the tapioca starch would be incorporated better within the actinomyosin matrix, right? So other researchers are available now to actually trying to substitute or trying to fortify bakso. And these are some of the examples of what people are using. I think I heard a bell, so time's almost up, I guess. All right, I'll go through this really quick. These are some of the data of some researchers Professor Harry did with his students on fortifying the bakso products, right? And this is how bakso would look like in the street stalls or street vendors. Right? This is how they are actually consumed. All right, I have less than 3 minutes, and now I will skim through some of the other meat products. Here, Professor Hari is trying to talk about the rendang, and rendangs are cubed and they are cooked and into 3 stages of cooking until fully cooked into the rendang. And so these are some of the data of what he and his students have found from the fresh meat carts and the intermediate products like the kalio meat and then the full cooked rendang. Right? They profile the amino acids of the fresh meat, kalio, and the rendang. Then another interesting thing is the Rawan in Javanese cooking. They are using the pangium edule. Java, they call it kluak. Something interesting that in Sulawesi, I found that people are using the leaves instead of the seeds, right? So here, Professor Harry and his students have also tried to study the saturated fatty acid content for the Rawan meat, right? This is the monounsaturated, this is the polyunsaturated. Also, another bite-sized product is the satay, right? Nutritional facts of satay, and this is the satay chicken in the skewers and the peanut sauce itself. Okay, I think my time's up, so I will jump to conclusion instead. So concluding the talk from Professor Hari, there are the 5 methods of preparation, preservation, and processing. Here in Indonesia, you can find them as well. And whole cuts available also in Indonesia, but not as popular as you would find them in Western cultures. Here it would be more popular into the small bite-sized cuts, cubed or diced, because again, if we look back to that 5,000 plus recipes, you would find how meat is actually cooked, slow cooked, stewed style, or sauteed. Then sliced meat, ground, minced, restructured meat is also quite popular here. And shredded fluffy meat like abon is also a thing from Sumatra Island all the way until Papua Island. So you can find that most everywhere. We didn't go that too deep there in Abon, but there was also a study from Dr. Sukisman from Palu mentioning about how traditional Palu Abon was very, very popular. And number 2 here as a conclusion was that how the different spices from each area contribute to the flavor profile, also the functional profile of all the meat products in Indonesia. And here Prof. Harry also gave an example of just the soto stew or soup. There's so many variants within the Jakarta version, the South Sulawesi version, the Central Java version, East Java version, and even the Kalimantan version. So most of the preparations are very much contributed to ingredient interactions and all the spice that are used, which therefore has impact and ramification to the quality of the meats, also the food itself, and also the organoleptic traits. I think this concludes the talk that Professor Hari tried to prepare for us for this specific day. And thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this talk as a tribute to my father. So here he also prepared his last slide, his last thank you slide. And this has been his favorite slide. I think I've seen this slide in many of his PowerPoints that he has prepared. Some of his PowerPoints, I did some of them for him during his days. And he used to love this page alone because from all the thousands of traditional food in Indonesia, last but not least, that has become favorite for all Indonesian, even Indonesians outside of Indonesia, would be the Indomie goreng, which is why he considers it as ironic. But again, thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much. I return the time to Dr. Tatas.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dino, for making the meat processing or meat food of Indonesia alive today. It's looks very nice and delicious. Now we are traveling to Malaysia, and we will hear the second sessions. Dr. Ishamri. Dr. Ishamri bin Ismail is senior lecturer at Fakulti Biosumber dan Industri Makanan or Bioresource and Food Industry, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Terengganu Darul Iman. Dr. Ishamri graduated with his doctoral degree in the field of meat science from Gyeongsang University, Gyeongsang National University. He has also strong industrial background. He was a QA executive of Lucky Frozen Food in Malaysia. He received an award in 2018 for his work on the effect of drying on chemical composition of red-fleshed and yellow-fleshed watermelon rinds. He has published many journals publications, including the title that are shown in the slides, are the most recently published in Meat Science and Journal of Agrobiotechnology. Dr. Ishamri conducts his research as principal investigator on identification and quantification of low temperature, long time treatment on eating qualities and safety of meat. Today we have Dr. Ishamri with us to introduce us about Malaysian meat products. Dr. Ishamri, the time is yours. Dr. Ishamri, maybe you can unmute.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, now it's okay.
Assalamualaikum and good morning. I think for Malaysia and good afternoon
Waalaikumsalam.
For Indonesia. So thank you. Thank you to our moderators, and it's a pleasure to be here. And welcome to all the participants who are joining us online. So now I will proceed to the next sharing session about Malaysian meat products. Okay, so I'm Dr. Isham Ismail from Faculty of Bioresources and Food Industry, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Terengganu, Malaysia. So happiness on the plate, not eating meat is a decision, and eating meat is an instinct. So we cannot deny that the meat is good and very tasty. And at the same time, some of us cannot live without meat, because meat is the good or contain all the essential amino acids and is a good source of the proteins. So meat industry in Malaysia, actually there are many meat industry in Malaysia. For example, beef valley, Caprima Valley, Medfood, Ayam Bira, Ayam Mas, even we have a Nando's Nasi Ayam and so much. Okay, so for the example, Ayam Mas Food Corporation is in Malaysia, they are supplying poultry product or chicken meats to all the KFC restaurant in Malaysia. Okay, other than that, we have a big company in Malaysia, Ramli Food Marketing Sendirian Berhad is a big name in Malaysia. This Ramli Food Processing is founded by the Dato' Ramli Mokni in 1984. And actually, he started his business by selling burger on street with his wife in 1979. But now he has a big factory in Malaysia that sells frozen meat products. So the halal slaughtering in Malaysia. So the government and the regulatory framework for the halal industry are quite complex in Malaysia. So there are many the regulatory framework like the JAKIM, DVS, MOH, and so on. Actually, they are related to each other to ensure the safety and the quality, also the halal integrity in Malaysia. For example, if the butcher of the slaughterhouse want to conduct or want to slaughter the big mammalian like a cattle, a buffalo, a sheep, or goat, they must first apply the permit in Malaysia, not for the poultry, only the big mammalian. Okay, for example, Department of Veterinary Services, DVS, they function to control what we call and prevent the animal and zoonotic diseases in Malaysia. So once the butcher or slaughterhouse want to slaughter the animal, they first apply the permit for the slaughtering. So the DVS officer will inspect the animal's condition and issue the health certificate in the animal if the animal fit for the slaughtering. So after that, the animal will be brought to the slaughterhouse and the ante-mortem and post-mortem inspection will be conducted to ensure there is no abnormalities on the carcasses. So after all the requirements have been fulfilled, so the animal or the carcasses will be tagged like this to inform the consumer this product or this carcass is safe to be consumed. So Malaysian street food. I will talk more on the most popular meat product or meat-based product in Malaysia. So the street food of Malaysia is heavily influenced by Thai, Indian, or Indonesian and Chinese cuisine. Okay, so the famous fried chicken, there are several types of fried chicken in Malaysia, but in here I will explain the most famous one and the cheapest one, which are chicken schnitzel, and normally we don't call chicken schnitzel, we call ayam gunting in Malaysia, as well as fried chicken, RM1 fried chicken. So I think among Malaysian students, I think this fried chicken is very common and very tasty. So RM1, I think equivalent to 3,400 rupiah. Okay, is affordable for the masses to buy, and sometimes for me it's not logical to sell this RM1 fried chicken, because now in Malaysia the cost of the raw material is very expensive, but yet we can still find, even at my place in Terengganu, we can still find many street food stores that sell RM1 fried chicken. So the next one, chicken schnitzel or ayam gunting, this one, it's not RM1, it's a bit pricey, around RM8. Okay, RM8 around 20 to 27,000 rupiah. So this one is like a chicken chop, which is fried until golden brown and crispy and seasoned with white pepper and red chili to add the spiciness. So the important for this product is there is no skin, no bones, lower in fat, and use only the tender cuts. Okay, we have the king of street burger, the king of street food in Malaysia. Okay, we call Ramli burger. Okay, so among this Ramli burger is a huge thing in Malaysia, and this is a crowd favorite and popular street food in Malaysia, and of course it's affordable and cheap. Okay, but most of the time we can find this burger sold during in the evening until late at night. So Ramli burger consists of either beef patties or chicken patties, shredded cabbage, cucumber, mayonnaise, black pepper sauce, sweet chili sauce, and sometimes they add with the seasoning to give the umami taste. So the specialty about this street food burger, we can request to make it looks messy or heavy with many additional ingredients like eggs, cheese, or even we can ask to add in the red beans. Okay, the next one, we have the roti john, martabak, and kebab. So interesting about this street food that stuffed with various types of meat, like a beef, okay, like a chicken, a goat meat, and each of these products is resemble like a sandwich but made from different type of bread. For example, roti john, they use a baguette type loaf, and for the martabak, okay, this one is a martabak, okay, quite famous in Malaysia. Okay, they use a sort of fried bread, and kebab use a pita bread. But I know kebab is not our Malaysian cuisine, it is from Turkey. And in this slide, I just want to show that the Malaysian style, we normally is topped with the sauces, mayonnaise, and cucumber. We can sometimes find this product or this street food on the street, but most of the time at the night market. So interestingly, during Ramadan, in this month, in this fasting month, we can get this food everywhere in bazaar. So especially the martabak and roti john, these two products are very common among Malaysians and link this product or this food with the fasting month. So other than that, Malaysia also has several type of roasted chicken like ayam tempayan, or in English, chicken, roasted chicken, inside earthen jar, ayam pecik, marinated chicken, as well as ayam golek, charcoal grilled chicken. So all these chicken have a different taste, even they are roasted. So the differences in terms of the taste and flavor are influenced by the marinating ingredients and cooking method. So as well as in Malaysia, we have a Malaysian satay, and in Indonesia also they have their own satay. So satay is one of the most popular street food of Malaysia, and satay can be easily found throughout in Southeast Asia, not only in Malaysia, not only in Indonesia, in Singapore, even in Thailand, in Vietnam, they have their own satay and they eat with their own unique way. In Malaysia, for example, we eat the satay together with the satay dipping sauce like this, we call kuah kacang. So this kuah kacang is actually quite thick in the texture, spicy, and quite nutty. Also, we eat this satay together with the nasi himpit, okay, the white color one, and in English we call the compressed rice cake. So in addition, the cucumber and also the red onion are often served together with the satay as a palate cleanser, as well as an antioxidant to counteract the carcinogen compound from the charcoal. So on the upper left picture, this is the owner of the local brand satay, known as Satay Kajang Haji Samuri, very famous satay in Malaysia. So Kajang is actually the name of this street in Selangor, Malaysia, and there are many satay stores in Kajang. For example, Satay Maharaja, Satay Willy, Satay Haji Rono, and Satay Haji Samuri. So Satay Kajang Haji Samuri is by far the biggest satay establishment in Malaysia, producing more than 100,000 sticks of satay daily at his factory. So the next one, we have also other processed meat product, and I will not talk or explain too detail about this because these products are very common in many countries. For example, fresh processed meat product briefly include the nuggets, patties, what else, kebab, and also mechanical deboned meat. So all meat and non-meat ingredients are added raw, and heat treatment is applied prior to consumption. So for the cured meat, normally they are categorized into two: cured raw meat and cured cooked meat. But in Malaysia, cured raw meat is seldom, and however, cured meat that in the form of cooked is available in Malaysian market. So this type of cured meat product is treated with the nitrate or sodium nitrate to cure that meat and subjected to heat treatment to achieve the desired palatability. So the next one, the raw cooked meat, Okay, this include the sausages, meatloaf. Okay, we have several type or several brands. Chicken balls and meatball is under these raw cooked meat products. So the ingredients are processed, raw, and subsequently cooked the product to form a firm elastic texture to set the protein. And last but not least, the dried meat products. In Malaysia, we have jerky. Okay, like in Indonesia, maybe we call that one dendeng. I'm not sure. But in Malaysia also we have floss, and we call serunding. In Indonesia, they call abon, if I'm not mistaken. So we have serunding. But serunding in Malaysia, various type of meat like a beef, like a chicken, pork, and sometimes from the fish and from the coconut. And also in Malaysia, we have the famous floss is located in Kelantan. Okay, so normally the dried meat use the lean meat without visible fat, because we know that if we use the fatty meat to produce the serunding of floss or dried jerky, normally it can induce the oxidation or rancidity. So all these product categories is under the manufactured meat product based on our Food Law and Regulation 1995, Malaysian Food Law and Regulation. All these products shall contain the protein content 65% and above. So the fat content shall contain not lower than, should contain 30% and lower, not more than 30%. So canned meats. So in Malaysia, canned meat under the sterilization process is common in Malaysia, and this local brand include the Pertima, Sunstar, Rex, Yos, Ayamas. All these canned meat product is dominated by the big company in Malaysia, and SMEs like small medium enterprises company. So the product has been sterilized in a hermetically sealed can to 121 degrees C, and the function to kill of all the anaerobic vegetative and spore-forming bacteria, especially the Clostridium. So this one, I think, is quite new product in Malaysia, and ready-to-eat meat products. So ready-to-eat meat product currently in Malaysia. So many are interested in developing this type of product as it convenience, fast, and does not require cooking before because it is a ready-to-eat product. So the product is actually, for the example, the Kembara pack or this product on the right side have the self-heating technology. It's very interesting because the packaging does not require a microwave or even fire or stove. This product is good for the emergency food, and this product is engineered, the packaging is engineered, okay, and once the pack is in contact with the water, it boils the water and heat up the food, and the food is ready within 8 to 10 minutes. So because of the technology, because of the innovation of this product, the packaging material and technology used, a pack per pack for this product is a bit pricey, around 22 ringgit, equivalent to 75,000 rupiah. So the next one, in Malaysia also we have frozen convenience meat products. So this product is actually different from the ready-to-eat products, and the concept of this product is for busy on-the-go consumer. Okay, like us, like students now, they are very busy with their assignment, with their tests, with their final year project. So who want to spend less time on meal preparation. So most of the time, the frozen convenience product is partially cooked, and we have to reheat this product according to the preparation information on the label. For example, in Malaysia, we have keropok leko. This one we call keropok leko or fish cracker, although it's not really cracker because it's soft. The texture is soft in the middle. So this fish cracker is well known at my place in Terengganu. Okay, and to explain this, in Indonesia also have, they call this one is fish pempek. Okay, so however, our fish keropok leko is not similar to fish pempek because we don't have egg and we don't use white flesh fish, but instead we use a dark flesh fish. So this frozen convenient product is microwavable. So the next one, okay, is in this slide we have sticks and burger, but these are not normal stick and normal burger. They are very unique. Okay, they are unique because of the name, daging harimau menangis, or crying tiger stick, or weeping tiger stick. So the name represents the tender cuts of tenderloin is located here, okay, under the backbone, next to the ribs, making it difficult for the tiger to reach the most tender cuts, which is called tenderloin, and leaving the tough cuts for the tiger. That is what they call weeping tiger steak or daging harimau nangis in Malaysia. So the next one, we have burger. This burger is a hipster burger in Malaysia, because hipster means being outside the mainstream, being outside the normal. So the burger has been manipulated with to give a new taste, to give it a new look. This burger tastes, for example, like nasi lemak ayam rendang, for example, other one is a salted egg yolk burger, and some of the burger layered with the blueberry jam. So very unique. Because of this uniqueness, is quite expensive actually. So the next one, we have the global, and in this slide, mentioned about the global and Malaysian on meat consumption trend. So the consumption trend is increasing every year. So in the 20 years to 2018, developing countries accounted for around 85% of the rise in global meat consumption. I think it's quite a big number. So meanwhile, in Malaysia, the total production of meat increased from 165,000 ton in 1971, but in 2020 increased to 1.87 million, from 100,000 to million. So it increased around 5% every year. So it means that if we look at the self-sufficiency ratio in this figure, we can see a downtrend from 2010 to 2018. It means that Malaysia was consuming more beef than before, and beef production has not caught up with the demand. So if you look at the first figure, by the year 2050, we have to be careful, because the number of the world's population will be projected to increase to 10 billion. So the utmost challenges for us to provide the enough nutritious food to everyone, which is affordable and sustainable. But now the livestock production or consumption is not sustainable at all. So the next one, okay, the future food security, the globally expert claim that food security is a grave issue with serious consequences in the future, and therefore hassle significant of conversion is needed to sustain meat consumption. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the protein resources from the animal base are not sustainable at all, and we cannot rely 100% from these resources. So we have the other option. We can substitute the meat with the meatless product. Okay, for example, from the plant, from the fungi, from the insect, and from the cultured meat. But now in Malaysia, we are focusing more on the plant-based research. However, there are several challenges in developing meat product. For example, lack of interest among Malaysian consumer, the heat and light and beanie flavor from the soy or peas protein, as well as limited content of essential of amino acid. So plant-based patty looks like real patties. If we look at in this figure 2, it shows the meat analog external and internal appearance before and after cooking. Although these products are not 100% similar to meat patties, but the shape and appearance are almost 70% similar. And if we look at the sensory evaluation here, I can say that the plant-based meat, okay, almost similar in terms of the textural properties, in terms of the overall acceptability, the shape and firmness. So in this product, Zero Chicken Burger, 100% substituted with the mycoprotein from fungi. The fungi used is from Fusarium fungus, Fusarium. This Fusarium fungus, if you look at the appearance and microscopic, is very similar to the chicken meat, and it has the added value, which is fiber, but not in chicken meat. The chicken meat has more fiber. Okay, that is one the advantage of using the fungus from the Fusarium. So as a conclusion, okay, so meat product in Malaysia can be seen to have a significant transition from traditional meat product to modern meat product, and now plant-based meat. And I think this is the right time to see the new wave of plant-based patties, plant-based meat in Malaysia, to cope with the supply, demand, and also in the food supply chain. And the situation with the current situation with back-to-back animal-borne diseases and COVID-19 pandemic has placed the spotlight on meat supply and food security. And the transition to the meat analog will be, I think, a good thing and a game changer for future food security. And its the product is more sustainable than the livestock. So this alternative protein is not only healthy but also fast, convenient, and non-perishable, and require little attention than animal-based products. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ishamri, for giving us a glimpse about the in Malaysia, about from meat until into development of technology. And the third session today, we have Dr. Musfira. Dr. Musfira, are you already here? Yeah. Okay. Dr. Musfira Zulkarnain is a senior lecturer at Food Technology Division at University Science Malaysia. She has graduated her Doctor of Philosophy in Food Science and Technology at the Ohio State University, Columbus, Ohio. Her research area includes high pressure processing technology, non-thermal food processing technology, novel structuring, food systems, chemical and analytical food safety, and edible oil processing technologies. She published many journals and books, including the recent publication shown in the slides, Application of High Pressure Processing in Food, which is a book, and a very exciting journal entitled Replacing Animal Fat with Edible Mushrooms that will be published soon in International Food Research Journal. Dr. Musfira received many prestigious awards. The most recent one is a Fellow of Young Scientists Network from the Academy of Sciences Malaysia. Today we have Dr. Musfira with us, and she will talk about technological approaches in producing healthier meat products. Dr. Musfira, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tatas, for the kind introduction. Let me share my slide quickly. Okay, so is my slide up and my voice is clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning, everyone. I am pleased to be here today and to share with you on the emerging technologies in meat processing. So what we're going to discuss today is on the future trend on top of what Dr. Ishamri and Dr. Dino has discussed earlier. In particular, we're going to discuss on the high pressure processing technology, which is the most adopted emerging technology when it comes to meat processing. We will discuss on the high pressure processing principles, the effect of pressure on the muscle structure, functionality, and also the applications of this high pressure processing in producing meat products, and also the application in the meat industry itself before we wrap up this topic. Okay, when it comes to future trend of meat products, I think Dr. Ishamri has discussed lengthy on this topic. I just want to highlight quickly that the consumer now are well informed. They know their food choice, and that's the reason why we see high increased demand in the high protein food products, be it plant protein or meat protein or animal proteins. Yeah, consumer knows what to pick, and they demand for nutritious packed high quality meat products. With the overloaded of food products today and a lot of choice, consumer always go back to the food products which is nutritious and which meet their preference, and in particular in terms of palatability, the ease of eating and sensory properties. Yeah, okay. So on top of that, consumer, especially in developed country, they are looking at the clean labeling. With the availability of the emerging technologies, a lot of approaches today, clean labeling is looking at the fresh, natural, preservative-free and additive-free products. When it comes to meat products, we are aware as consumer that meat products contribute to the non-communicable diseases like obesity, cardiovascular diseases. Therefore, now consumers are looking for the options of low fat, low salt options of the meat products, yeah. And also, when we talk about safety, it's not only about the foodborne illnesses contributing by the meat products, but we're also looking at the processing contaminants, for example, hydrocyclic amine, HCA, we have PAH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, we have acrylamides, we have a lot more other, coming up, which we might not identify it yet, right? So those are also safety concerns when it comes to a meat product, yeah. And also post-COVID, today we see that home cooking is a trend, and everyone wants to choose their preferred diet, yeah. And home cooking usually best for you to tailor to your dietary needs. So when it comes to convenience, we need more of frozen, yeah, RTE, and also the trend of meat-based snacking is also in a rise now due to demand of time. We need a limited preparation time, and for example, we need to have we want for example, meat-based snacking that we can throw during party, for example, right? Okay, and last but not least, we cannot run away from sustainability. As what Dr. Isham mentioned just now, meat production at large is not sustainable. So today we are seeing lab-grown meat as one of the future trend, and today, as for today, we already have 2 companies operating on commercializing this lab-grown meat. Yeah, so all of these future trends is only possible with the developments of emerging technologies in conjunction with, for example, all the understanding on the chemical approach and biochemical approach. Yeah, but most importantly, when we talk about technological approach, we talk about large productions of this meat product to support the needs of food security. Okay, so before we move further, we need to acknowledge the challenges when it comes to meat product. So meat products are perishable, they are high in water activity, yeah, which which we need for the juiciness of the meat products, right? However, we see that this condition is favorable for microorganisms and also for pathogens, yeah. And from the statistics yearly, these statistics from CDC, at least in the US, at least 40% of the foodborne diseases yearly contributed by or associated with the meat products. Yeah, so the major foodborne pathogens that is always in the rise is the Salmonella, E. coli, and Listeria, which can cause bad consequences if someone contracted with these pathogens, right? Okay, so conventionally, we have thermal processing to render meat products safe. We have pasteurization with temperature lower than 100 degrees Celsius and sterilization more than 100 degrees Celsius that able to inactivate spores and produce shelf-stable meat products, which can last up to, for example, 1 year, right? However, this extreme heat treatment results in sensory changes in sensory attributes and color of the meat products, affecting the texture. Yeah, dry makes the product drier, for example. And what we worry more is also the formation of catalytic iron, for example, for myoglobin, because we know that meat is high in this heme protein, yeah, which then results in the basically in the proliferations of these lipid oxidation and protein oxidations of the meat products. To counter this, conventionally we have nitrite, as antioxidant and also color fixing components, yeah, to help produce specific sensory attributes that we need in meat products and also fix the pink color of the meat. We have salts to modify the myofibrillar texture of the protein, to extract the and solubilize the myofibrillar protein, to allow the formation of various, for example, meat emulsion, right? And we also have antioxidants like BHA, BHT to prevent lipid oxidation and to basically control lipid oxidation during processing and also during storage, right? However, with the demand of clean labeling, especially when we talk about premium products, definitely we need emerging technology or better solutions to this problem, right? So good news, we have a non-thermal processing technology as opposed to heat that can be applied in particular when it comes to meat product. These are 4 main non-thermal processing technologies that can be used, which is high pressure processing, pulse electric field, irradiation, and ultrasound. So irradiation has been there for long already, yeah, been decades. We use irradiation to inactivate microorganisms, in particular to render meat products pathogen-free and also extend the shelf life. Yeah. However, when we talk about the improve meat functionality and also nutrient preservation, ultrasound, pulse electric field, and high pressure processing has been shown successful when it comes to meat products. So among these non-thermal processing technologies, high pressure processing is the most highly adopted technology and has been commercialized as far as the meat products concerned, I think about 10 years as for now, while pulse electric field is still under development. I think the applications of meat as for commercialization is still yet to be there in market. Yeah, ultrasound has been there in the food industry to assist in a lot of meat modification, for example. Yeah. But the focus is today is the high pressure processing, because high pressure processing is the most adoptable emerging technology. And let's see why high pressure processing is the basically the solution for meat product as for today and the years to come. Okay, so most importantly, when we talk about this non-thermal processing technology, the benefit is the nutrient preservation, because unlike heat, non-thermal processing is quick, minimally processed, yeah, that basically limit the adverse effect of the processing, and also it consumes lower energy, yeah. Okay, so what is high pressure processing? So high pressure processing is rather simple technology, I would say. It is by subjecting the packaged product under the high hydrostatic pressure. So, which is transmitted by water as the pressure medium. So, if you look at this diagram, this is a schematic diagram of the high pressure equipment. So we have the pressure vessel, which is metal, yeah, stainless steel, which is able to withstand the extreme pressure, yeah. And this chamber has a closure here. It is open and to put the product, and it's closed. So once this closure is sealed, yeah, this unit on the right is a pump, high intensity pump. So basically, the advancement of this high pressure processing technology, since it was first tested in food in 1989, is the development of this high pressure intensity pump. Right? So using the principles of physics, pressure equals to force over area, right? So the force given by this pump over this small area results in production of high intensity pressure. So this pressure is transmitted to this food from all angles, yeah? That results in the pressure is about, for the food application, is about 100 to 800 megapascal. For commercialization is basically under 600 megapascal, which is about 6,000 times more than the pressure that we are experiencing now, right? So with this extreme pressure, it results in molecular impact on the bacteria, it disrupts the bacteria, enzyme, viruses, and spores that results in the shelf-stable or basically stable product. Yeah. Unlike heat, pressure does not break covalent bonds. What it means is that small compounds like vitamins, white active compounds like the vitamins, color, flavor, yeah, it's not affected by this pressure treatment. Therefore, it preserves these sensitive compounds and produces safe, fresh-like, superior quality food products. Yeah. Okay, when we look at the principles of high pressure processing, the compression of the biological material or the food material, yeah, up to 18 to 25%, and compression, and then after the pressure release returning back to the original state results in various biological, biochemical changes. In particular, when we talk about meat products, we talk about proteins. So endogenous proteins can be affected structurally. For example, up to at high pressure level, the unfolding can result, and this exposes a certain area of food, the protein structure exposing and results in formation of new bonds, yeah, that affects the enzyme activity. It can also affect the myoglobin, and also, for example, meat color and chemistry, and also lipid in the meat itself. So understanding the molecular impact of how pressure affecting these endogenous meat components is important for us to exploit this high pressure processing technology for clean label or healthier meat products. So you might ask, what happens if I pressurize my food? Will my food burst, right? You're talking about pressure, which is 6,000 times the pressure that we're experiencing, or is equivalent to the two elephants standing on a dime, right? So assuming that if you have these animals tap on your food, will your food crush? Of course, right? But what happened under high hydrostatic pressure? It is good news, it is not crushed. The reason being, the compression or the pressure exerted is uniform and it is fully reversible. Meaning to say that when the product, regardless of the shape, regardless of the size, is being compressed, about 18% of the volume will reduced under pressure, and then after 5 minutes, the pressure release, and it will go back to the original structure and basically original size and volume. Yeah. So this explain the isostatic rule of the high pressure processing principle in a way that the pressure exerted or the heat generated from the compression work, yeah, of the internal molecule, yeah, when the molecule is compressed, the work is happened. So work is transmitted into energy, this energy is transmitted into heat, yeah. So heat will be generated. So this is heat generation under pressure. So by compression, the heat of the food will increase for 600 megapascal is about almost 20 or more than 20 degrees Celsius. Yeah? So this facilitates in the inactivation of the microorganism and enzyme as well, right? So the principle is the heat increase and pressure treatment is instantaneous and homogeneous, regardless of the size, regardless of the volume or the shape of this product, right? So this is the advantage that facilitate the commercializations of this technology, because it makes the technology economical. As compared to the retort treatment, if you see here, to treat a retort, to heat up a batch of can, right? You need at least almost 100 minutes, yeah, where the food is already being, before the bacteria is inactivated, all the food, the nutrients there has already been affected by the heat, right? As opposed to heat treatment, this treatment time is very short. The overall processing is between 15 minutes, yeah, or less. The time basically needed is for the compression, for the pressure release is very short, but the pressure treatment is usually less than 7 minutes. Okay, so talking about heat of compression, this heat of compression is the advantage, also another advantage of high pressure treatment, where if you talk, when we talk about the heat of compression, it depends on the material. So water have the 3 degrees Celsius per 100 megapascal. I'm sorry, here it's 100 megapascal, means for the 600 megapascals, you have about 18 degrees Celsius increase in temperature, right? Okay, and then if we did not retain this temperature well, it can lost to the vessels, because the vessels is metal, yeah. The metal can easily absorb the heat away. So good thing, another benefit is that the polymer or the organic material having higher heat of compression than water. For example, we have here polymers, yeah, like PP, PE, yeah, where when it's compressed, you have a 40 degrees Celsius, for example, per 600 megapascal. So these can be used as an insulator towards heat loss, so that we can have heat maintained, yeah, there. Okay, so we talk about the microbial inactivation. This is the most important aspect when we talk about food processing, right? Because safety is the most important aspect of food processing. So under pressure, the microbial inactivation mechanism is on the rupture of this cell wall and also the cell membrane, yeah, because this tiny microorganism cannot withstand high pressure during compression and expansion, yeah. They will burst. We see changes in the cellular proteins, key enzyme, yeah, that results in the bursting and results in the inactivations of these microorganisms, including spore. So if you look at the resistance, spore is most resistant. Therefore, we need the combination of pressure and temperature to kill spores in the pressure assist thermal sterilization. Yeah, we have viruses having lesser resistance, and also microorganism. Okay, so the regulation, yeah, is what facilitate the commercializations of this technology. So the regulatory status of high pressure has been there much earlier, before the commercialization, of course, in Canada in 2006. When we talk about meat products, yeah, high pressure processing has been approved to be used for the RTE meat products, and also for RTE meat containing entries, meat containing salads, meat products. Yeah, in the US, in 2009, FDA has accepted that high pressure can be used for commercialization of the pressure assist thermal sterilization. Yeah, and with this, we see that high pressure processing can be used for the meat products. Okay, so how does high pressure works? Like I mentioned before, the food product must be packaged and then put in the vessel, and the water will be pumped and pressurized. And after pressurization for 5 to 7 minutes, then the product is ready. Okay, so these are examples of commercialized high pressure systems. The applications of high pressure processing in meat industry can be categorized into at least 4 main applications. The first is cold pasteurization for the microbial inactivation. We see here, yeah, the RTE roasted beef inoculated with main pathogens. We have Listeria, E. coli, and Salmonella. After high pressure processing and during storage, this microorganism is absent, while the untreated having the fluctuations of this microbial growth. Yeah. So among the important parameters are the pH, AW, processing temperature, and pressure to kill specific targeted microorganism that has been tested. Yeah. Okay, so for the clean labeling application to basically fulfill the USDA definitions of natural, it has to be no artificial or synthetic ingredient, no chemical preservative, no coloring, and minimally processed. Yeah. Okay. So before we look at the applications of high pressure on the meat, we have to understand the muscle structure. So the muscle structure consists 65% of myofibril protein, which is salt soluble. Yeah. This is how we extract the or modify the functionality of the meat, we have 30% connective tissues and 5% cytoplasmic protein. So if you look at this muscle structure, this is muscle cells, yeah, which is having the organelles of myofibril, which is the long organelles, yeah, having the structure of sarcomere. So if you look at this sarcomere, I just want to highlight two important protein structure here, which is actin and myosin, having side by side. We have myosin, which is in black here, having head and tail. This head will lock to the actin for your muscle compressions. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we have Z lines that mark the structure of the sarcomeres. These are all in Germany. Maybe Dr. Tatas can help us pronounce this letter. Yeah. So basically, salt is important in meat product because salt is there to extract the myofibril protein, and also not only that. Salt is also important for antimicrobial, yeah, active function, antioxidant, and also to chelate, for example, the metal ions. Yeah, so we have not only sodium chloride, but we have phosphates, citrates, and bicarbonate salts important in the functionality of meat product. Okay, so what high pressure does to reduce the usage of salt is that high pressure affects this myosin and actin. Okay, you see the myosin and actin just now, they are parallel to one another, right? So under high pressure, these actin and myosin are disintegrated. So you know that when protein are disintegrated into monomers or single molecule, right? They have more surface area. So this protein, when we talk about protein, they are charges. Okay, they are ambivalent, right? Meaning to say that they have positive and negative charges. So this is the function of these charges is important because they attract the water molecules. They makes the meat product juicy, right? Okay, so with the high pressure treatment, not only they basically disintegrate this protein structure, it also facilitate the agglomeration or the network of the structure. Because when we talk about meat products or meat batter, we need this meat to form network to trap water and fats, right? If you look at this structure, these holes are the holes where water is trapped inside. Yeah, the more the water is trapped, the more juicy your product is. Okay. All right. So when we talk about high pressure treatment, so for the functionality of meat products, we have two steps where this helps in reductions of the salt. In this study, it shows 50% reduction, and for the commercial application so far, 50% is the best. Because I would like to highlight here, this is the control. Yeah, we have low salt and high salt. So low salt is heterogeneous, less homogeneous, and if you look at the water molecule, is water entrapped is smaller, lesser. Yeah, so with the high pressure treatment, you see large amount of water being trapped, and plus at high pressure, we have with these salts being extracted out, and also high pressure facilitate in the denaturation of these soluble protein into a new network. You see here, there's new network, yeah, that results in the more firmness or higher, stringiness of the meat product. Yeah. Okay. So this shows the recent research on the effect of without high pressure and with high pressure, and 50% salts results in improved texture. Yeah. Okay. So in conclusion, when we talk about the structure formation, high pressure and temperature, yeah, is needed to facilitate the solubilization, the denaturations of the secondary denaturations of the solubilized protein to impart the desired firmness and also juiciness of the meat products. If you compare without high pressure treatment and with high pressure treatment, the charges is more, yeah, that able to trap the salts and water. So one more thing I want to highlight when we talk about salt under high pressure treatment. So all high pressure treated product, be it meat or other products which have salt, imparted salt, after high pressure treatment, it results in 10 times higher in saltiness because of one more thing, under pressure, it facilitate, because pressure facilitate volume reduction, it facilitate the dissociations of the salt. That result because these salts are in charges, right? You have more charges, you have more water in stronger charge to attract water, so the volume is lesser. That's why you have more of a salty perception. So with high pressure treatment, definitely you need to reduce the salt amount. Okay, so for the fresh meats, high pressure is treated pre-rigor, because it stops rigor, basically the effect of rigor mortis, which is a toughening of the meat, so it stops post-mortem glycolysis and also increase the water holding capacity. So with high pressure processing, there's no drip loss. This is drip loss without high pressure processing. It extends shelf life, but high pressure also can affect the color of the meat. With pressure above 200 megapascal, the myoglobin is affected. The porphyrin of the myoglobin is affected. Okay, so the combination, the effect of pressure need to be for the fresh meat. Need to be used carefully. Okay, and for the tenderization, like I mentioned before, the high pressure affects time out, sorry. So high pressure processing affects the structure of the myoglobin. So that's how the tenderization of meat is available. Okay, so I just want to highlight last thing. Post-harvest processing, we talk about casing, the natural casing. It's always an issue. The chemical approach is not possible to treat this casing. So high pressure processing, fortunately, able to inactivate these microorganisms, and also with the modifications of the protein, it also facilitates the feather removal, hair removal, and also toenail removal, so that you can have more yield, of the meat extracted. Okay, for take-home message, meat product, high pressure processing is important for meat product safety and shelf life extension, because these modifications of this myofibril protein also facilitate the innovation of these meat products for the natural ready-to-eat meat, and also enhance nutrition and also quality in terms of freshness. Okay, with that, I would like to say thank you. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Musfira, for giving us a glimpse about the current processing technology meat. The next session, the last session, session 4, we will have Dr. Masdiana. Dr. Masdiana Cendrakasih Padaga is a senior lecturer at Food Technology Program Universitas Ciputra, Surabaya. Dr. Masdiana graduated doctoral degree in bioscience in Universitas Brawijaya. She has very long experience as lecturer and started her career in 1983 in Brawijaya University. And she is very acknowledged in the field of quality control as well. She was deputy ISO 17025 Central Laboratory at Universitas Brawijaya, and her research in the field of food science is very long list, with also her publications shown in these slides, the recent publications. She also published 5 books focusing on microbiology. She is expert in microbiology, and therefore today we will like to pick up her brain on the topic of microbiology of meat and meat products. With further ado, Dr. Masdiana, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Tatas, for introducing me. Let me share screen. Can you see my slide? Everybody can see my slide?
Yes, I can see the slides.
It's clear.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, I want to.
Slideshow.
Yeah, slideshow. The icon is hide.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is. Okay. Yeah. Can you see?
Yes, I can see. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But okay, I put in the first slide. Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, almost afternoon, everybody, all students from Indonesia and Malaysia. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So my topic for today lecture is microbiology of meat and meat product. Okay, this is the outline of my presentation or my lecture. First, I will give a very short introduction why microbiology is important in meat and meat products. What are the source of contamination? What factors that affect the growth of microorganisms in meat and processed meat? And finally, we will see the types of microbes that play an important role in meat quality. Okay, just the short introduction. As we know that short shelf life of fresh products such as meat represent one of the main limitations for the commercialization of this product, mainly due to the Dr. Musfira explained already that the meat has high content of nutrient and the superficial moisture, which leads to the fast growth of the spoilage and pathogenic microorganism. Indeed, it is well known that microbial contamination of meat during harvest is unavoidable. The growth of microbial on the surface of a product is often responsible for the undesirable change in their quality and also shorten their commercial life. Processing, as Dr. Musfira and the other two speakers explained already, of course, can help to extend the shelf life of meat. But all research that has been done show the result that still they are still microorganisms that are resistant to the processing, so that it can cause spoilage to the processed product. That's why it is important to understand the microbiology of fresh meat and the processed product. Okay, to be able to understand comprehensively the microbiology of the meat, let first we find out of the source contamination in meat, and which of course will greatly affect the microbiological quality of the processed product. The first source of contamination is the animal itself. Microorganisms can found in whole body of the animals, especially on the skin and the fuel. Dirty animals will carry a high enough numbers of microorganisms. If not clean, this animal, of course, it will contaminate the meat during the slaughtering process. That's why it is very important to ensure the cleanliness of the animal before slaughter. This is very important. During the slaughtering process, it is necessary, of course, to pay attention to the equipment used, especially the knife. Besides that, sometimes we don't realize that the personal hygiene of the slaughterer is very important and can be also the source of contamination. Good slaughtering practices need to be implemented, of course, especially in the evisceration and handling of the meat. Temperature control, this is very important. either during the slaughtering process or during the distribution. So this temperature should be kept at low temperature. Why? To prevent the growth of initial microbial found in the meat. Also, during the process, packaging, storage, and distribution of the meat, this must be carried out at low temperature as well. If the initial contamination from the source of contamination can be prevented, the initial microbial count in fresh meat can be kept low enough, and the meat, of course, can be safely processed into the food, because the safety of the product is very important. And also, if the product will be kept in a bit long, we have to consider the safety of the product. Now we move on to the factors affecting the growth of the microorganism in the meat product. Okay, there are three main factors actually that play important role in the proliferation of the microorganism in foods in common, and especially in the meat. So we have the intrinsic factors, extrinsic factors, implicit factors, and also addition the processing factors that also important, because the processing factors, Dr. Musfira explained how the high pressure will affect the microorganism and the type of microorganism found in the processed product. Let us discuss this factor in details. So the intrinsic factors, we know that microorganism needs very much the nutrient for their growth. Yeah, okay. Food such as meat contain a number of microorganisms that are required by microorganism to grow. Therefore, the meat is susceptible to microbial spoilage. Dr. Musfira mentioned is a perishable food. Yeah. Okay. So how about the pH? Most bacteria, yeah, the microorganism found in the meat mostly is bacteria, and we know most bacteria grow best at the neutral and weakly alkaline pH, usually between 6.8 and 7.5. The ultimate pH of the meat is 5.8, and it will, I think, increase during the storage condition. So why we have to keep the meat in the low temperature? Okay, the moisture content, of course, in terms of water activity. The amount of free water is important for the growth of microorganism. So in the processing, inhibition of the growth occur when the water activity of the food is lower beyond the organism minimum level of water activity that is necessary for growth. For example, in salting and drying of meat, so the water activity will be reduced. So the microorganism, the growth of microorganism will be prevented. Some food also has inherent antimicrobial substances that this also will prevent the growth of microorganism. The biological structures of the food also very important. In meat, it has fascia, skin, and also other membranes that prevent the microbial entry to the meat, yeah, and spread throughout the meat. Okay. The extrinsic factors, this is also very important. These factors are external to the food. So how you store the food, this will affect the growth of microbial. So we have to really consider the temperature of storage, the relative humidity, and the gases in the environment. The growth of microbiology, of course, is affected by environmental temperature. However, this temperature also depends on the other environment condition, such as the intrinsic factor, the growth factor that find in the nutrient medium or in the meat, and also the pH and the water activity. So the concentration of gases in the environment, the most important is the oxygen. Yeah. So as we know that microorganism can be divided into several groups. The anaerobic microorganism, which is they don't like oxygen, and aerobic microorganism, they like very much oxygen. So the condition of this microorganism at this environment, the oxygen of the environment is also very much important. So sometimes we will keep the meat in anaerobic condition. Now a lot of the packaging material already I think available in the market. Yeah, so this just to prevent the growth of microorganisms. The relative humidity, this also very important. Food with low water activity, if we like a dendeng, yeah. If we put in the place with a high humidity environment, this food will take up the water. So they will increase the water activity, and of course they will get spoiled as well. Yeah, for example, the dendeng, as mentioned by the other speaker. So why we have to also consider how we will pack the product and how we will store the product. Okay. Implicit factor, also one of the factor that important. The implicit factor are the properties and characteristic of the microorganism. There are some microorganisms that can inhibit the growth of other microorganisms, but some also can support the other microorganisms. Some microorganisms, they produce the antimicrobial, they produce the enzyme, and also this factor will determine the type of microorganism that cause spoilage. For example, in meat, meat is very high in protein, also in lipid. So the microorganism that produce that lipolytic enzyme and proteolytic enzyme, this will cause spoilage of the meat and meat product. Okay, the microbes that contaminate meat and its processed product will grow well if their characteristic are in accordance with the intrinsic and extrinsic factors. So these three factors, of course, they relate to each other. Yeah, the intrinsic factors should support the condition. The extrinsic factors support also, and also the type of the microorganisms. You cannot find the microorganism that have chitin, yeah, in the meat, of course, because there is no chitin in the meat. That for example. But we have to also consider the processing factors. Yeah, Dr. Musfira explained already how the processing factors will affect the type of microorganism. So only the microorganisms that are resistant to the processing factors, to the physical and chemical treatment, that can survive. And ultimately, this microorganism cause spoilage to the processed product. Yeah. Okay, so that's why. So now let's look at the meat. Meat as a substrate of microorganism. The intrinsic factor provided by meat is very supportive for the growth of microorganism. Meat contains complete nutritional component. We know very well the availability of free water is very high, as well as the pH. So of the meat, very supportive for the growth of microorganism. That's why meat is an excellent medium for the growth of microorganism. Of course, unhygienic handling in the slaughtering can cause the initial number of the microorganism in meat to be quite high. This will affect the quality and safety of the meat, and of course, its processed product when they reach to the consumer. So this is dangerous. So the safety is very important. Okay, this figure is very interesting. Now, the processing technology, preservation technology produce already different kind of meat product. We have learned from Mr. Dino, Dr. Musfira, and as well Dr. Ishamri, a lot of variety of meat product. Of course, the development of new product with improvement the nutritional value has increased over the last decade, I think. This was the purpose of the obtaining healthier fresh meat and also post-mortem processing of meat product, I think. So this strategy, of course, we have to also consider the microbiological quality beside the sensory characteristic and the nutritional value of the product. So the important things, this the hygienic condition, yeah. We have to consider all the technology, all the preparation, and of course the important thing is the initial load of the microorganism in the meat as raw material for the processed meat. Now let's look at the microorganism at different part of the meat. Yeah. Okay. So especially when we see the processing of the meat, which is through the slaughtering, yeah, of course, as I mentioned before, that the animal body has bacteria that come from soil, air, and water. Therefore, we can find many types of indigenous microorganisms in the animal body, also in the digestive, respiratory, and also the urogenital tract of the animal. So this is become the source of contamination of the meat. The number of the microorganisms find in the organ, it's I think not the same. There is the variation, but normally they will have the as high as 10 to the 4 to the 10 to the 6 microorganism per gram. I think the most microorganism we can find in the large intestine now of the animal. So we have to also consider that the animals in the farm, of course, not all animals are healthy. some of animals, they will be sick, but the most important is the animal that are sick, but no symptoms showing, that we know as the carrier. So this is very dangerous because sometimes we don't know that this animal sick, so we just slaughter, and also we don't also consider, or we don't apply the good slaughtering practices. So all these pathogen, of course, will contaminate the microorganism. We have also be considered to the how the husbandry practices, the poor husbandry practices, and also poor transportation and environmental condition. This, I think, also will be contribute to the increase of foodborne pathogenic in the meat and meat products. Eventually, this all pathogen will contaminate the carcass and also will affect the safety of the meat. Okay, let's see how the microbiological quality of the raw meat. As previously explained, that the initial contamination that occurs at the time of slaughter will determine the number and types of microorganisms present in raw meat. These bacteria come from the skin, gastrointestinal environment of the feedlot, and the pasture, yeah, feed, water, soil, and manure. We cannot prevent the contamination. So these all the common types of microorganisms include gram-negative, rods, and micrococci that always we found in the raw meat. Some of the population, microbial population that also present in lower population, lactic acid bacteria and bacillus and clostridium spores, yeah, as well as some parasites. The most important pathogen, Salmonella, Dr. Musfira also mentioned already. Why this always contaminate the raw meat? Because this is the pathogen that I think cause disease in animal. So, but the level of pathogen normally usually very low in the meat carcass. So why, if we want to enumerate the pathogen, we use the most probable number method. If we store the meat under aerobic condition, what organism will grow rapidly is the psychotrophic microorganism. In the chill meat and ground meat, following the boning, so the meat or the product will contain microorganism, of course, that come from the carcass, as well as the all the equipment used during the processing, as well as the personnel, air, and water. So why during the processing we have to consider also the microbial quality of the water. Normally we will check also the microbiological quality of the water. So the most microorganism found in the chill meat, this all the microorganism. I don't ask my student to memorize all this name of the microorganism, but you have to know, because this very important for the quality and the safety of the meat. If we store the meat under very low temperature, again, the psychotroph microorganism that will dominate the composition of the microorganism in the meat. Okay. Ready to eat meat? Again, Dr. Musfira explained a lot already. So from the microbiological point of view, all this product is of course being processed using the commercially sterile process. So only the thermophilic spore microorganism that will survive, and of course these spores will not germinating unless the product we keep the product at the temperature abuse. Yeah, remember we have to prevent store the product in the danger zone between 5 to 60 degrees centigrade. Yeah, better you keep the product below 5 degrees centigrade or above 60. Okay. As well as if the low heat processed red meat also, it depends if we pack aerobically or anaerobically, and we store at refrigerated temperature, or we put in the freezer, yeah, frozen. This also will affect the type of microorganism. Okay. Anaerobic packaging process, this also nowadays a lot of the meat product being packed, I think they use the anaerobic packaging process, and this very dangerous actually, because if the Clostridium, I think, occur in the meat, so they will cause foodborne disease, yeah, because the Clostridium botulinum, we know very well, produce very toxic, yeah, toxin, yeah. This also affect the safety of the product. Okay. Heat treatment, again, the microbial source before heating, this very much influence or affect the type of microorganism in the heat treatment product, and only the microorganism that resist to the high temperature will survive and will cause the spoilage on the product. If the pathogen, it will also affect the safety of the product. During the storage, yeah, this very important. We have to see the vacuum or modified package, yeah, even in the organism in very low number, this organism, I think, also will grow, and of course will affect the safety and the shelf life of the product. Okay, the two speakers talk about the conventional cooking. What the difference here? The conventional cooking, of course, they cook in very high temperature for longer time. Of course, the microorganism will, I think, will be killed. Yeah, the microorganism. So actually, they have no microorganism. But what happened with all the rendang, with all the dishes, yeah, this is the lukewarm meal, yeah, store at the temperature at the danger zone. So this really also will cause the contamination, because they will put, there is a time between processing and consume the product. So this of course, there will be a contamination from the air, and also contamination from the plate. Yeah. So if we keep in the danger zone, so all the microorganism will grow, and of course, during the waiting time, they will grow, of course, multiply, and maybe also they will produce toxin. Also, some pathogenic organism also will grow. So this also will affect the safety of the product. Okay, I have this one data. So the student can see from the slide 17 to the 21, this explain the types of spoilage of fresh meat, yeah. Different kind of meat, different storage condition, of course, will distinguish the type of the microbes that can grow, which in turn, of course, will cause the spoilage in the processed meat product. So you can see here, yeah, different kind, yeah, the defect and what the type of the microorganism that cause the spoilage. Yeah, you can study from this slide. This table is very interesting. Yeah, this table show the change in counts of microbial growth groups enumerated during the manufacture of dry cured lichen. Yeah, as you can see here, in almost all in almost group, yeah, all the group of microorganism has a high content here, whether in the surface and in the interior. So this indicates that the low standard of hygienic in the handling of the meat and also in the manufacturing plants. Counts of the mesophilic, you can see here in interior, also raw meat also very high. These high counts could be come from the extrinsic microorganism that penetrate, yeah, from outside to the inside, and it will multiply very fast. Why? Because the moisture content and all the, yeah, okay.
Excuse me, Dr. Diana.
Yeah,
the time is already out.
Okay.
So maybe...
Okay, I finished actually. This is of the rendang, just the same. This just show that the microbial quality is depend very much how you good handling or no, hygienic or no in the process. Okay. So I come to the conclusion, this very important, that microbial contamination and growth always will be a concern in fresh and processed meat due to the nature of the substrates involved and of course the inherent nature of the slaughtering process. So the implementation of desirable processing technology will become component of microbial control measures for meat products, commencing with, of course, slaughtering of the animal and continuing to the ultimate consumption of the product. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much, Dr. Tatas. Thank you very much, all students. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Masdiana, for giving us a glimpse about the importance of microbiology in food control. So I would like to give a conclusion, very short, and then afterwards we will go into question and answer. So that prepare also participant, please, if you want to raise questions, please write on the chat box so that we can also follow, or maybe you can raise your hands. To conclude, for the conclusions today, we have 4 sessions today. And the first session is from Mr. Dino. It's very interesting. He introduced both food, meat in Indonesia. Especially, they are very interesting story about the I will call it intercultural influence, but also becoming tradition of Indonesia in food of styles, which is meatballs, yeah. And then we also have a very interesting story about the importance of spices, food enhancer, flavor enhancers to enhance the meat products in Indonesia, because in Indonesia is a meat product usually restructured or heavily processed in comparison to others different traditions. And then from Indonesia we move to Dr. Isham, that already give us a glimpse about the meat processing and also meat products in Malaysia. And this is very interesting. He showed interesting meat products, for instance, satay. I'm very interested in this one as well, and also serundeng, which is very close related to Indonesia. And he mentioned about the recent trends of foods related to the food security, related to the how Malaysians meat consumption increase, and how to meet this demand using more sustainable approaches. And then we move to Dr. Musfira. She already gave us a very deep understanding about processing technology with high pressure, which is very important for preservation of nutrients. And I learned about the salts, because this is very important, that and this technology can even reduce salts consumption, so make it a healthier food. And last but not least, Dr. Mas Diana give highlights about the importance of controlling the microorganisms as a quality controls from the pre-slaughtered and also until through the process until it is delivered to us. That's only very short glimpse conclusions. So I would like to call for questions. I think for the time we can have at least one questions for each speakers for short questions or short answers. Is there any questions from the floors? If not, I can. We have questions in here. So for Mr. Dino, maybe you could give a short statements about Indonesian foods and variations of adding spices and adding different types of spices here, like rendang and rawon, and to create the ingredient interactions of the in the meat, and how this will this give an impact of the consumers in Indonesia in comparisons to the meat that is now maybe Indonesians customers influenced by the traditions or the cultures from Japan or from others.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Tatas. As we all know, most consumers of Indonesian or mainly Southeast Asian are very susceptible to spicy food. People in Indonesia especially are they like spicy food very much, especially that from where I am now in Manado, people in Manado, they can eat extremely spicy food, and the way they cook the meat also incorporates this lots of spice. So lots of chili in their food, man. I think this also have impact to the microbiological status of the meat itself, with all such spice, especially the way they cook, and some of the Manadonese cooking. I see they use a lot of bamboo cooking, slow cooked bamboo, and with incorporating lots of spice, lots of chili in there, and I'm sure there's a lot of functional components of the spice and chili that are involved, and also how these huge amount of spice would actually impact the microbiological conditions of the meat. But I could not say alone for the nutritional conditions of the meat itself, because slow cooking and slow long exposure to heat. I think the nutritional conditions, the amino acid profiles, and also the fatty acid profiles would actually diminish along with the cooking. This is also seen in Balinese cooking, also Lombok cooking. I saw once in Bali, in a kampung in Bali, how the elders would, how these ladies would actually put like 3 kilos, 3 to 4 kilos of chili in the abdomen side of a chicken. And I mean, this is mind blowing. This is actually really mind blowing. I tried to taste it, but even I could not stand the chili. I mean, the burst of the chili on chicken. So
yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Dino. Since you mentioned about the microbiology and also the spiciness, because it contains like capsaicin, capsorubin, and so on. I move to Dr. Masdiana. Do you think that this kind of compounds or alkaloids or different types of compounds do give effect to the to suppress the existence of bacteria or so on for food controls?
Yes, Dr. Tatas. Yeah, of course. Yeah, all the spices, they have the antagonistic effect on the microorganism. They have also the antimicrobial component, yeah, in all the spices. I believe this food, as Mr. Dino said, that this food actually, they have no microorganism after cooking, of course. As I mentioned before, because after cooking, they will keep the food just lay down on the table in the dangerous zone. So this will, I think that will be the post-contamination process. And of course, all the spices, I think because being cooked at the high temperature, I think maybe the activity of the herbs as antimicrobial, I think maybe decrease already. Yeah, so the danger for the traditional food is that after processing, we will keep the food laying on the table very long. Yeah, normally the problem with the after cooking or traditional cooking is the Staphylococcus aureus. Why? Because the Staphylococcus aureus, I think they can survive in the very high salt content until 10%, and they produce toxin. This toxin, I think they are heat stable. So if you reheat the food, the toxin still there. So this will cause the foodborne intoxication, I think. So I think that's my answer, Dr. Tatas.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Masdiana. So I think so it is very important as well, yeah, to keep after cooking, after giving like different spices, also to be make sure that the foods are delivered well and stay healthy. And food in Indonesia also very closely similar, yeah, like food in Malaysia, because Dr. Ishamri slides looks very nice because I like satay, and you mentioned like satay haji, samuri, looks very interesting. And you show also the transitions of in Malaysia, yeah, from this kind of traditionals, and you make mixtures with the integrate with technology and so on. And the questions arise here is why does meat products in Malaysia can be seen to have these significant transitions?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Dr. Tatas. I think the significant transition from traditional meat to the modern meat and now plant-based meat, I think now the situation is different than 10 years ago or 20 years ago. because now people still prefer eating animal-based product or meat-based product, but in different ways. So more consumer in Malaysia, if you ask me, maybe Dr. Nusfira, maybe Dr. Shariza, we have no time to prepare a food early in the morning because our lecture early in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I have to send my kids to school.
Yeah.
So that's why we need the ready meat product, convenience meat product. So in terms of the, this might be leads to the forces like urbanization and rising incomes, and that is why we need this kind of food products. However, the transition of the to the plant-based meat products, plant-based products, actually in Malaysia it's still developed but at a slow progress because it's quite challenging for us to educate people, especially those that dealing with the substitution of the accustomed food. Okay, right. So according to I did some survey about this plant-based meat in Malaysia. So according to Statista in 2021, only 50% of the Malaysians were willing to substitute the from traditional meat to plant-based or meat analog. So I think that's why the challenges for us, even want to shift from traditional meat to plant-based meat. I think that's the challenges.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this also behind that, the technology must be at the front. And thank you for Dr. Musfira for giving for listening your presentation and lectures. I think I have a lot of questions. Actually, I think a lot of many people here also have a lot of questions, especially that you mentioned about that. So it changes, high pressure changes or improve structure and salts extracted out, and looking at this from traditional transitions into like modern era, how about this, what do you think on how this technology like high pressures, because we have a lot of nutritions, not nutrition, sorry, I mean ingredients that we add in here. Whether this, what should we learn from high pressure that keep this flavor as well as the ingredient intact? Or maybe you have suggestions for us. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tatas, for the brilliant question. Yeah. So basically, when I talk about high pressure processing, the motivation in the beginning is to preserve this flavor and nutrients. Yeah. So we talk about these traditional, in particular, when we talk about these traditional products, because compared to the traditional product, compared to the modern food, when we talk about meat analog and stuff, the flavor is already basically maybe half of what we have in the traditional products. So this is also what I did when Professor Hari came to visit us. I did also highlight to him that high pressure processing is the future, where we want to bring this traditional product into the bigger market to make it stable. Because the first thing first, when we talk about traditional products, like Dr. Dino mentioned just now, it involves a lot of spices, where we know that when we have a lot or more raw material, we have more contamination possible there, right? So the spices, we have spores in particular, and spores can basically very resistant towards heat and also in pressure as well. So but the combinations of pressure and temperature here can facilitate the destruction of the spores and basically preserve make the food safe at the same time, because it's minimally treated. For example, the whole cycle is less than 15 minutes. So you can expect that the thermal effect is very less there. Therefore, we can preserve, the freshness, the authentic as what we cook at home, right? So regionally, we already see in Singapore, we have, for example, product like laksa, because we know the laksa, especially the meat, it's really hard to preserve. I mean, the integrity, yes, right, for longer. Yes. Yeah. And we want and the best thing is the gravy taste, right? Yeah. And with the heat treatment, definitely you will lose a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So very interesting our talk this afternoon. I think if we can continue this one, I think it will late until the breakfast today, so book up us until maybe more than that. But unfortunately, we are limited by time. Thank you very much to Mr. Dino, Dr. Isham, Dr. Musfira, and also Dr. Masdiana for giving us around knowledge about meat products, and also about basically about meat, yeah, and about the future of meat. With this, I would like to conclude our today, and we would like to give a round of applause to the speakers. Please, we can give a round of applause by giving the reactions, yeah. And thank you very much. I would like to give it back to Dr. Riza, MC.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tatas, for your help in moderating the webinar as well as coordinating the Q&A session. So once again, huge thank you to all the speakers for sharing a very informative topic today. And I believe everyone has gained a lot of new information on the Indonesian and Malaysian meat products, on the technology aspects of producing new products, and also on the microbiological aspects of the meat products. Thank you. Okay, now we have come to the end of the webinar session. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank everyone, the speakers, the participants, and the committee members from both countries for joining and also contributing and make it a success. So next we move to the photo session, and I would like to request everyone to turn on your camera so that we can take a picture, a nice picture for all the participants. So maybe we can give 1 or 2 minutes for the participants to get ready with their camera. And the secretariat will screenshot the screen. So please keep smiling for a few minutes until the committee finish capturing the screen. Okay, a few more. Please join us for the photo session. Keep smiling.
Okay, I will take the documentation for the first page. Second page. Third page. Fourth page. Fifth. Okay, it's done. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the secretariat. Okay, so that's the end of our webinar today. Okay, to all the students, good luck for your study journey and please stay safe. So till we meet again, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a good day ahead. Don't forget to fill out the survey form, yeah, for the feedback for the seminar. Thank you.